Hello, game-breaking tubers, and welcome back to Let's Play some more Final Fantasy Renaissance with me, BlueAnkylo. Yes, I'm really enjoying this custom fan game. You can probably tell by how many of these we've put on the channel in the last month. Anyway, for today, I wanna ask you guys a question. I'll show all the classes again in a second to help you in if you want. We're gonna do a solo challenge. It's probably in the title of the description. We're gonna do it on New Game Plus mode, which is debatably more difficult than normal. It is, of course, meant to be more difficult. We'll see. Who do you think, of all the Renaissance classes and the vanilla classes, would make for the best solo class to run? I'll do a quick run. You got the Paladin / Knight, Ninja, all the standard starting classes from Final Fantasy 1. We've seen them all before. We've done them all. If you play the NES FF1, just the vanilla version, you can solo the game with any of those 6 classes, albeit with some difficulty on a couple. But then there's a bunch of new classes in Renaissance to compare, and which one would be the strongest? Of the original 6, it's pretty much the Fighter / Knight hands down. There's really no question they have the best run solo. Maybe Red Mage is secondary because they're very good early game, and the sweeping spells help a lot, but they're less effective against bosses later game, but, haste and stuff. I would say Fighter and then Red Wizard, and then maybe Monk, Black Mage, White Mage, and of course the Thief at the end. Wherever he is. But yeah, of the other new classes, we got a Blue Wizard. Wizards might not be the best at soloing. It's a bit hard. The Dancer was very good in my last Let's Play, the last series. Elementalist is still technically a wizard. Dragoon is close to a fighter. Beastmaster, I don't know these guys super well, but they're kind of fighter / they're close to fighters, I guess. They can wear medium armor and good weapons, I think. Summoners, very much like a black wizard. Time wizards barely get any attack spells, but I guess they're closest to a black wizard. Green wizard's kind of like a white wizard a little bit. There's a bard. And then there's another, Death Knight. We saw this in one of our, my first Let's Play of Final Fantasy Renaissance. There's also a Rune Knight I'll show off eventually. And there's also that Ranger, of course. We had them in the first run as well. So I've shown off some of these on stream, or not stream these days, but on video. And I'm actually pretty confident, if you haven't guessed yet, that the easiest solo run in this game is the Dragoon. And it's because the Dragoon's major advantage doesn't actually work in a group very well, because they disappear. And then all your squishy mages get hit by the enemies while you're waiting for them. And in general, waiting a turn or two to do your attacks isn't super efficient. But what if the enemy can do nothing while they're waiting for you? That's pretty good. Also, they do get AoE attacks. So we're gonna try, without any further ado, a solo Dragoon run. And I am pretty confident we are going to absolutely crush New Game Plus. So let's get to it. I'm not going to mess around. We're going to be playing fairly quickly. Solo runs tend to just work like that. There's not a lot to talk about, and there might be some grinding. In fact, there will be some grinding. But I have a feeling we're not going to do as much grinding as you'd expect. New Game Plus, we did do on our last playthrough, and you get a lot of experience in New Game Plus, assuming you're not dead. Also, there are repels, which might make New Game Plus actually easier than normal, but we'll see. And we'll buy a bunch of healing potions and tents, save our game, and get started. Don't worry about that. There's also a quest for the Dragoon. We can't do that till we get to Onrak. You guys know the lone Dragoon. Anyway, let's get a couple levels up, because, it's not going to be very difficult. I suppose I should give you an overview of what the Dragoon does. This is the first time I've used them on the channel, by the way. But hey, look what the Dragoon does. So, yeah, early game, not a problem. We have access to 2 in-game skills. If you are playing it in not New Game Plus mode, you'll only have Jump, which is spend a turn and then land for pretty good critical damage against one target. Also ignores their defense, very good for bosses. And then your Fatigue, so you can only do it once every second turn. Or, if you're promoted, you can use Super Jump, which does critical to all enemies, and you can only do it every 3 turns. We also have a limit that lets us basically jump more often, so you could probably go Super Jump, Fly High Jump, Super Jump, if you really need some DPS. Pretty good. And also we have super effectiveness against dragons. We also, generally speaking, equip heavy armor like fighters, except shields, and use spears, which are about equivalent to swords for fighters, give or take. In terms of stats, I think our growth rates are pretty similar to fighters. So, you know, if you're used to that kind of playstyle, you should be comfortable here. So you may notice that we did one fight and got one level up. Let's get another level up. Probably take maybe a couple fights. Oh no, we missed. So you can still miss, sadly. But what is it? Yeah, one more fight will get us a level up. Maybe at level 3 we'll go see if we can fight Garland. I don't expect the early game to be much of a challenge. I think the pirates will be about as efficient as these imps are, and it is possible someone like Garland might slow us down a little bit, but I have a pretty good feeling about this. But yeah, let's just zoom through the game. Like I said, the goal here is to break this game apart as a solo run, and I actually think the solo Dragoon is easier than a normal group of a normal party composition. Even on New Game Plus mode. In fact, maybe especially on New Game Plus mode, because, well, I don't want to spoil it. But you're seeing it already starting to come out. Let's go deal with Garland. He is buffed up quite a lot in New Game Plus mode. He hits us for 19 damage. Crit for 120. Hits us for 8. Oops, not skill. Limit. Gotta use these limit breaks. Crits for 44, that's a bad one. But we can do more jumps now. There we go. So we might have been able to do that level 2. Didn't really matter. Level 3 didn't take very long, right? And that's intro done. Any other solo run except maybe fighter would have probably taken 5 to 10 times as long. If you're playing a thief, like 100 times longer. Let's go to Provoka. We'll see how far we can get in our first episode. You probably will be surprised if we stick to 1 hour episodes. I don't think we could beat the game in an hour, but maybe. I'd have to run. Well, actually, running is probably not very efficient. Fighters and basically low luck agility characters aren't very good at running away from battles. If you're doing like a solo thief with better agility luck stats, you are better at running and not getting ambushed and preemptive strikes and stuff. We don't really have that luxury, so instead we're going to focus on flying around, basically. Because, I mean, that is our thing. We jump. So we're not strong enough to one-shot creeps. That's not what I was hoping. Maybe we do need to run. Oh no, we died. Well, that'll happen once in a while. It is a solo run. I overestimated my strength against creeps. I thought they might be one-shottable, but not yet. It's fine. Once we get a better spear, we'll be alright. Maybe we can deal with a mad pony. It's gotta be pretty close. There we go. So we still need some XP. We're gonna be taking a lot of fights as we go. My plan here for this Let's Play sort of potentially challenge run is to not really do very much dedicated grinding, to try to grind as we go, because my objective is a fairly low time, which should be quite possible. We're very close to Provoka, so I might as well just use my limit here. In the last run, and the last 2 runs really, I didn't use limits very often, except for like bosses and stuff. But I think the Dragoon's limit is very good. Especially when you need to do more than 1 jump in it. Well, if you need more than 1 jump. So, we might as well use it a little bit more regularly. However, I think we're in basically no danger against the pirates. If you're worried, I suppose you could buy some better armor. The iron armor is a pretty significant increase over chain. I don't care about selling stuff. Like I said, we're going fast. Speed run strats today. And super jump it is. So I think this will be our best solo pirate kill that's possible. I don't think any other class could even come close. Maybe some of the new custom classes. Maybe Geomancer could do that. I don't know. I guess there's a... Well, that class we had last time, Blue Mage. If you bother to get the low-level Scorch ability, you could do a small AoE fire that might kill them all. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure of how effective that would be, but this is my first, technically, only class that I'm running New Game Plus solo runs on. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. A miss? Okay, we might be in trouble on this one. Don't worry, missing won't be a problem for too long. Just gotta get some levels. Oof. Can we do this? Oof, come on, you gotta go first. Yeah, okay, I think we'll be alright, as long as we don't miss again. Okay, those sharks, pretty strong. But then again, 800 experience, you know, gonna give us some levels quick. The main rush to get here, of course, was we have access to silver tier weapons, which is much better than our rapier tier spear. If you're used to the usual ones. It's, you know, way better. And of course, there's not really any purpose to hold on to that one. Might as well sell it. Not even sell it, just throw it on the ground. And there are some slight armor upgrades. I don't know if these are worth the time to pick up, but strictly speaking, I will do that. We're also going to need... Let me see. My goal will be to get 2 or 3 repels so we can go into Marsh easily. We might want some number of heal potions, but if we're using repel strats, you don't really need very many heal potions, right? So we'll need a few tents to save on the world map to get around, and then some repels to make the first dungeon trivial. So to do that, well, we might as well show off this other trick. We learned this last Let's Play, but it turns out there are guaranteed scripts or encounter tables, just like in the vanilla NES version, which means getting money early on, pretty easy. You use a tent, you reset to the beginning. It's much easier when you're saving in the top slot, if you're wondering. Ambushes, not too bad. Slows me down a little bit, but basically, I don't think we're going to have much problem killing Kaizoku with some super jumps. And I think because we're not even using spell slots, like, there's no need to wait till we got Lightning 2. There's no need to go back to town very often. You could probably reset to get larger groups if you really want, but it might be faster to just do this. I don't know. It is probably costing me a little bit more money per tent to do this reset than it does than if you just went to the Inn in Corneria. 30 gold versus 75 gold to save. But it's much faster if you don't have to go back into town. So in terms of, like, minutes, this is, I believe, as quick as I can do it. Now, how much do we need? Like I said, I'd like to have maybe 15,000 gold. I think 2 repels might be enough, but I think 3 will make it 100% safe. And I don't think the wizard battle will be any challenge at all. So as long as we're not killed by stun-locking zombies and geists and stuff, I don't think we'll really have any real challenge in Marsh. But it is kind of a question of how long do I want to farm Kaizokus here. And I'm trying to go fast, so, you know. Maybe we should... Uh-oh. I'm going too fast. The inputs got stuck. But yeah, if we only get like 4 or 5 at a time, assuming that the odds aren't too bad on that, might be more efficient. Questionable, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe take 3 and up. I mean, 3 is certainly worth more than 1 tent at a time. 720 gold, you know, that's almost 10 tents. We should buy a few pure potions as well. We'll get poisoned occasionally, especially on the walk to the Marsh Cave. But yeah, if we're going to use repels in dungeons, we don't need as much levels as you might need otherwise. I think I'm going to try this with 2 repels. I have a pretty good feeling about that. So, we're going fast. We'll get a few levels up here. I definitely don't think 1 Kaizoku is worth it. There we go. So how you guys doing? Enjoying the Renaissance? Just a little, you know, holiday Renaissance with your pal BlueAnkylo. Looks like we have enough hit rate for 2 attacks. Probably the silver tier spear got us there. If I'm lucky, I'll have over 10 grand after I run out of tents. We'll see. But yeah, jumping, pretty solid. It seems to be an auto crit if you hit. There's still a chance to miss, but the guaranteed crit, I think you lose one, like mechanically speaking, I believe you lose one of your attacks on a jump. So we attack with 2 hits right now, we still jump with 1 hit. But once we get to swing 3 times at 64% hit rate, our jump should double in power, which if you're really struggling, you could calculate what level that'll be. We need 64, that's 15 more hit percent, which is 5 more level ups. So go at level 14 and jump will be twice as powerful. Oh, I forgot to. It's fine. Technically speaking, if you're really trying to conserve intents or something for some reason, the first and third encounters on this sea are Kaizo. Now we got just one, so it's kind of a waste of the time getting here. This is why just saving and resetting is probably the fastest. That's it. All tents be gone. Alright, let's see how we're doing for money here. Pretty good for 15 minutes in. Okay, we want lots of those. We're going to need, say, 10 tents for saving purposes. Do you think we could do it like this? Where are we at? I don't have any pure potions. Maybe we get, like, one more level. Go at level 10 solo. Oh, I forgot the... Nope, not soft reset. Has to be a full reset. Just manipulating the encounters for fun and profit. Probably won't have to ever do this again. In fact, this might be our only grind. And I suppose it is kind of tradition, because the Marsh Cave is typically quite brutal. Well, it's not the only grind. We will just have... This will be the only, like, encounter table manipulation, I think. We'll have ways of getting money more efficiently after this. And we're only going to need like 20 grand per dungeon that needs help. Come on. I'm in a rush here. These 1 Kaizoku are barely worth my time. It's like this, if you're playing with a black mage, it's like kind of the same. You don't want to waste your spell charges to kill 1 enemy. And this is still the most efficient gold. I'm not sure if it's definitely not the most efficient experience grind. Why is it? It's definitely some weird input bug when you go fast. When I'm tapping there and I can't actually input commands, that's something to do with the game not registering inputs from my controller, except going back to the menu. It's interesting. It doesn't happen very often, but when you're going really fast, it can catch you. Okay, level 10, that's probably good enough. Assuming 2 repels is enough, which it's probably, strictly speaking, not. I have a feeling you need 3 to do 0 encounters in this Marsh Cave, but... hold on, I want to buy like 10 pure potions. And probably mostly just tents. Maybe a few... heals. Alright, that should be enough to get us going. Let's give the first real challenge of a solo run a try. And yeah, I'm going to take some more money on the way down. But yeah, I feel like this should be pretty obvious why the Dragoon is one of the best starting characters for a solo run. I shouldn't have to explain this much. The fighter can do all this, but it's much slower because you have to kill things one at a time. Black Mage can do it, but they have a much harder opening because, you know, they're not going to kill Garland easily with Fire 1. But I won't completely trivialize the dungeon by having 3 repels. We'll do it with just 2. Oh, this might be a bad fight. Yeah, let's not even bother. Guys just suck. And remember, we do have a pretty low agility and luck stat, so we will get, as much as I think it, I'm not sure how the form, I'm not sure technically speaking how it works, but enemy encounters have kind of a base chance to ambush you, and then your stats, I believe, reduce them in some manner. So, we're not very good at reducing ambush chances, basically. I think. A lot of that might be from the randomizer logic talking to me. But I do feel like it's consistent in my Renaissance playthrough. when we're using someone with high agility, like a thief in the front row, you just run from battle more often. You don't get ambushed as often, and especially the ninja has a specific ability to drop those down. But either way, all we need is a turn. Now, if we got to level, whatever that was, 14 or so, we would be doing twice as much damage with our jump, and therefore completely trivialize these fights, I think. So we're still a little bit weak. I think if you were not playing on New Game Plus mode, you could one-shot everything with super jump from the beginning, but you wouldn't have super jump because you would be playing unpromoted, right? So anyway, let's give this a try at level 10. I think this first floor, because it's so close to the beginning, I'm not going to use a repel here. I'd rather use them on the second floor as we're a little bit, maybe even not till we, like, we could, if we don't have enough repel to completely clear the dungeon, you probably want to take the risky fights early so that you can just reset if it goes bad. And then you want to have 0 encounters on the way out where you don't want to die, because resetting would be really bad. This fight sucks. The crawl, yeah, we might be done. This is why 3 repels would make this a lot easier. So, I've been talking about in my other playthroughs all the different D&D monsters that FF1 monsters are based on. We could actually win this fight. This is a fight you normally don't even bother with because they have so high absorb. Physical attacks do like 1 damage. Crits though, ignore defense. So yeah, speaking of all the usual, while we're just kind of working our way through here, what D&D monster inspired all of the marsh monsters? Well, those green oozes are some sort of green slime, like green, what's it called? It's the green ooze or green slime that's just a plant that's corrosive or something like that. Okay, come on. I should be focusing down the crawl. Oh, man. Getting a little bit bad luck on some of these encounters. I mean, this is Marsh standard. Jeez. This is why it's not worth fighting anything, because you're just going to get a random encounter that stun locks you. It's the biggest problem with solo runs. There's so many enemies that have a way to stun lock you. And recovering from paralyze is like something like a 1 in 4 chance. But it takes up your turn, which means probably all the enemies are going to get another chance to stun you before you get another turn. And it's just very easy to get in this loop of never getting an action ever. And if they stun you before you even get your first turn, running away is pointless. You know, this kind of sucks. So I would argue, perhaps if I was to restart this game, to restart my playthrough, just get 3 repels. I didn't think getting through 2 floors would be too brutal, but the RNG is not on my side today. This is another bad one. And immediately stunned. Okay. Well, I still think my logic for repel usage, if you only have 2, you still want to hold off for a little bit. I'm going to take a guess that if I use it after this staircase, it's going to be close enough. But if I manage to get through the wizards and out back to this floor and then get stun locked, I'm still going to be very mad. In which case, yeah, coming in here with 2 repels would be a huge mistake. So I may have rushed it a little bit. Alright, let's see if we can pull this off. I went from super confident to, never mind, I made a huge mistake. Oops, used the repel. Honestly, I'm trying not to over level, and I figured if I got another 5,000 gold, that might be like too high of a level to make this feel legitimately like I'm throwing the game, beating the game up. This fight could be bad, but we'll see. 2 is as lucky as it gets. And we're definitely going to be using a limit. And we got really good turn order. We went first, and then we went last. So, yeah, completely trivialized. Not very many other jobs could do that to the wizards on their own. I don't think anyone is as powerful as that. Lightning 2 cast on the black or red. I think the red mage might have the closest effect to that, but they still are limited by spell charges. And in New Game Plus, see, that's how far 3 repels would have been enough. We just have to get a little bit further and we're fine. So, you know, if you're playing along, if you want to do a solo Dragoon run, no problem. Just bring 3 repels and then you don't have to worry about anything in here. Probably smarter than what I did, trying to rush a little bit. My rushing has cost me some precious minutes. But anyway, there you go. Still very easy as far as a solo run goes. That's pathetic, you know. I don't think the vanilla NES FF1, there's any job that can get through this early game anything close to this. Alright. So we're not one-shotting Gerwolves. I do need to get to level 14 for that double jump damage. Should we go for Astos at level, whatever level we're at? Let's try. It'll definitely be way easier if we get to level 14. It would also be easier if we go get, if we went back to Elfland to recharge at the inn so we had our limit ready. But, like I said, I'm trying to break open this game and show off how strong the Dragoon is. So maybe we'll take a couple gambles just to see if they're actually proving my point or disproving my point. A little bit of science in our run. If you're really trying to optimize for speed, I think there's a couple changes we would make, but I'm not worried about perfect optimization. Yeah, the ambushes are definitely the most annoying part. And you can never really buy enough repels to dodge all random encounters. At least not until you have an airship. And then you can dodge most stuff. Alright, here we go. Astos, the bane of most solo challenges, because that happens. So that's going to happen a few times. It's just nature. We could get a few level ups, but that won't change anything about Rub killing us. The main thing that Astos has besides insta-death is very high absorb. And luckily, jump ignores absorb. So, you know, we're getting pretty bad luck in terms of the Rub killing us instantly. Eventually, that won't kill us instantly. I swear. I promise. This is not a strike against Dragoon. This is just every time. Astos is always like this. This is just how we beat. It should have something like a 50% chance to hit or so, depending on your magic defense, but we're getting crushed by it. Alright, 194 recharge, dead again. If I could just get like 2 jumps in, I'm pretty sure he'd be dead, but you know. This is The game's like, Blue, you're too overconfident. I don't think he's missed a single rub on us so far. We are not, like, really under-leveled. If you were playing with a normal 4-party group, you typically come here around this level, or maybe even less. So, I don't think rub is stronger in New Game Plus. It's just, you know, we're getting bad. Alright, one more jump should maybe do it? Come on, get him. There we go. Yeah, I didn't think it was going to be very difficult, but that time he didn't use rub at all. He had just attacked us physically and then was dead. So, I think that proves my point that you don't need any more levels. You just need a little bit of luck, and the levels wouldn't have changed much, I don't really think. Maybe at level 14 you could one-shot him with a jump, with the double damage jump. Maybe. Certainly if you had your limit break, you could immediately jump again, and that would save us 1 turn, but yeah, I mean, I definitely feel like if I was trying to optimize, probably would get 1 more repel before Marsh, and maybe try to get 1 more level before Astos and the Wizards, but either way, you don't need it. And it's difficult to optimize for time because, you know, RNG, right? If you were doing a speed run, you would just reset when you get a bunch of bad luck. You often run. Oh, we actually. Okay, never mind. I don't think we can win this fight. Get in there and save. You tend to. I mean, not that I'm a professional speedrunner or anything, but I feel like you generally want to go as low a level as is reasonably likely to win the fight. You don't necessarily wait till it's a guaranteed 100% chance, because it might take, especially with FF1 rules, it might actually take like, you know, 10 minutes to level up to the point where it's 100% safe. At which point you could have had like 5 or, well, maybe not 5, maybe like a dozen attempts at like say 50% odds. So you're better off taking the low percent chance and not grinding for an hour, or however long it takes. Probably not an hour. Definitely feeling like I wish I had that there, level 14. That's all I need. That's the one that I was definitely missing. So we should be at 64% hit, which is 3 attacks normally. And that should, the way the math works out, I believe, double our jump damage. Which I think at this point we can basically one-shot anything in the early game. Might as well pick up some free potions. Alright, going fast. How many minutes are we in here? 30 minutes, and we're basically done the Inner Sea loop. Yeah, that's pretty good. The next stop will be actually getting to Crescent Lake, because I need a better spear. There is a better spear in the Earth Cave, but it's on the 3rd floor with the vampire, which means you have got to get past a fair bit of annoying stuff. And if we want we probably want to have 4 repels or more. Well, yeah, we probably want 4 repels and enough money to buy 4 more. Because, you know, the stun-locking annoying monsters in Earth are about as bad or worse than Marsh. And although we're certainly going to be able to one-shot most of them if we get a turn, we might not ever get a turn. 260 damage to everything. That'll kill, even on New Game Plus mode, just about all the problems we can run into. I don't want to get too overconfident, but, you know, this is my point. So, yeah, level 14, crazy big breakpoint. This is a fight if the Odd Eye had got a turn. Would have been kind of annoying, but we good. I don't think I'll be going back to Marsh or even Northwest Castle to get their loot. There's nothing there that will help us, I don't think. Like, you could argue picking stuff up to sell it is worth a little bit of time. Because we will need some money. So saving some time in grinding by getting some stuff to sell might make sense. But we're at 12 grand already, and we're going to get a lot of money from the Dwarven Armory. This might be Stunlock if we're unlucky. Yeah, just reset. Oops, wrong door. All right. Oh, I kept getting interrupted. Everything's going so fast. The monsters from D&D that are like FF1, or that FF1 stole from D&D. The Crawl was one of the ones I had a hard time figuring out. That purple creep-looking thing. I think they're actually meant to be Ropers. Ropers are usually pretty strong D&D creatures. They actually hit very hard. But they're known for having a bunch of tentacles, like maybe 4 to 8 or something in the old versions. And they get a lot of attacks with them that can restrain you, or stun you, which they stun you in FF1. Now, they don't do a ton of damage, they don't get the big Roper bite, but they definitely get some ambushes, a classic Roper trait, and they definitely get a lot of attacks that can stun, which I think is probably what they were modeled off of. I don't think they're called that in the remakes, possibly because there's a lot of copyright troubles with D&D work versus you know, Final Fantasy licensing stuff. So eyes are obviously beholders, but they never call them a beholder because there was the whole thing. I'm pretty sure there was some legislation about that when FF1 first came out. But yeah, you know, I'm enjoying trying to figure out which creatures come from where. You know, Sahogs or Sahagin vary, obviously. Red Sahagins, I'm not sure if there is like a specifically red Sahagin type. There is like a Baron that is kind of like covered in blood, like sharks and their bloodlust kind of thing. So maybe that's where the red one comes from. And then the Wizard Sahags would be like some sort of priest or something. They don't actually get a lot of spells or anything, but maybe like a chief or something because they come later on in the game. I think the variants are not always easily identifiable as like D&D creatures, but I'm slowly working on a list of all of them. So yeah, whether or not this is warranted to come all the way here first, I don't know. We could probably get enough levels to get a 3rd strike on our jump. If you don't think this is enough damage, we could level up to the point where we get another one. Which we won't know the number until I pick up the new lance. But there's a new spear here. This fight, pretty... If we hadn't been ambushed, I think we could take that, but a little bit of bad luck. This would be lovely if we could win. Oof. New game plus, the enemies hit real hard. So 200-ish damage each. We don't even get another turn, yeah. I was going to use my limit, which is why I think I had a chance, but... If you're playing on not New Game Plus mode, then you can probably single jump each of these to death in one hit. Oh, the ambushes! I hate it. I really hate it. I don't know if this is the same feeling I had back in NES, like the original version, but it really seems like Renaissance, the number of enemy ambushes has gone crazy. Like, way more than I'm familiar with, but that might just be my own personal bias. There's nothing sword-wise we ever really want as a Dragoon. Forgot to buy my new spear. Platinum spear. Way better than a regular spear. So we got silver from Elfland. It's not a huge upgrade, but it is an upgrade. Oops. Come on. I'm trying to go too fast now. Okay, that leaves me with 17,000, although there's some armor we probably pick up as well. I've been a bit lazy in armor, but it doesn't matter very much. The things that kill us are things that stun us, basically. So, Dragoon can't use shields. They can't even buy them because, you know, we're not allowed to have them, I guess. But we might as well take the upgrade to our armor. We could buy silver armor. We could also save up and buy knight armor if we really wanted to be fancy. And I definitely want 3 or 4 repels total. Although, if we're lucky, we won't need very many heal potions for Earth either. So I think I'm going to take a few fights here, just so I don't have to come back for our Earth dive. And because we're right by a town, this is one of my favorite grind points anyway. I guess I should look at how many levels we need to get triple jumps. Or triple hit jumps. But we're going to get levels very quickly. I did not click enough. So we are at 75% hit rate. 96 is the next breakpoint, which is 21 more hit. I believe we get 3 per level, so that's 7 levels. So you could grind 7 levels here fairly quickly, which might be worth it. I don't think we need it. I'm pretty sure the vampire completely trivialized even right now. But the Lich is a long way down, and it would be a real shame if you got all the way down there and then died. But we're looking at like 5 grand per fight right now. Like, maybe I don't go all the way to the next attack, but we get close. And then we just take a few fights on the way. Kind of do my traveling grind again. These kind of fights should actually be pretty good for XP. Not normally, because if you're using a fighter or something, you just kill them one at a time and it's terrible for time XP. But again, 5,000 for a single jump, single action. Pretty good. How are we doing on our timer here? Less than 40 minutes in? Alright, alright. I don't think I'm going to specifically save up money for the Knight's armor. It's certainly an upgrade over Iron, but honestly, it might actually be better to have lower base absorb and higher evasion by going silver armor anyway. Maybe that house. That's a debate I've had a lot of time, because the most dangerous thing to us is getting stunned. Once you're paralyzed, you're basically dead. So the amount of damage reduction you add isn't as important as just not getting hit. And with the iron armor, and if we go knight or steel armor, our evade percent is actually very poor. So if I was going to do that, I shouldn't have sold it, basically. I had a silver armor in my inventory. I just threw it out. I actually really would like the good Pede fights or something. This is easy, but I like big groups that can super jump down, right? Still, one-shotting a giant's not bad. A new game plus giant, that is. Not every time, but pretty close. Level 18. So what was my target? We need 15 more. So level 23, which is still pretty low level for a solo Lich, honestly. If you're playing as a thief, you're probably going to get nearly level 30 to fight the Lich solo. I need to go early. Good turn order, please. Thank you. These are the fights we're having high base absorb help, because you're going to get hit a lot, and the enemies really hit hard on New Game Plus mode. So I guess theoretically you could carry around both the Knight Armor and the Silver Armor, and depending on the enemies you expect to fight, switcheroo. I mean, we just got ambushed for 150 damage. There's like very little I could do to mitigate that with New Game mode. Other than maybe levels that might give us a little bit higher luck for less ambushes. But still, efficiency-wise, we're getting thousands of experience per fight. Sure, I have to go the in-between each one, but that's pretty quick. I need one more repel, and then another 10,000 gold, give or take. This is the kind of fight we're looking for, assuming we don't die. If none of them run away, and we don't die, this should be like 10,000 XP. Oh yeah, we got these guys. So dead. This is why I came to Crescent Lake. 14,000 XP. Yeah. It's hard when you're almost getting 2 level ups in a fight to not be like, well, why don't we just stay here till we're level 23 or whatever it was, because that's gonna make the Earth dive super easy. Okay, let me say, I did say I was gonna try not to do too much grinding. This is officially my last grind. I don't think we'll ever need to grind after this. We'll make sure we're strong enough and rich enough to take out the Earth Cave. And after that, I'm pretty sure we can just breeze to the end of the game. As silly as it sounds. We're already pretty likely strong enough to deal with the Lich. But it is New Game Plus Lich, so much more HP and damage than Vanilla. The Vanilla Lich has 400 health. I think we're about double that in New Game Plus. Also, the Peds are starting to run away, which might be a sign that we shouldn't stick around too much longer. I'm actually getting less gold per fight. Like, I'm not making enough gold to buy all the repels I'm going to need before I get to the level that I'm thinking is my breakpoint. I guess the Peds are just so efficient in XP. But, I mean, I think I don't have to explain it, but the value of one-shotting enemies is really, really high here. We get hit so hard if they ever get a turn. I guess we could try to lean on the repels to basically never take fights, but we're going to have to do some random encounters, If you're playing along, let me know how low a level you dealt with the Earth Cave, If you went in there at like level 18 or something, that'd be pretty cool. I definitely think it's possible. Well, we're only 2 levels away, right? Might as well do it at this point. Or at least get pretty close. Because I think once we hit level 23, just like when we were fighting the wizard and everything in Elfland area, getting the double 2 hits on the jump, basically one-shot everything, I think we'll be in a position in the same thing here, where once we get to 3 hits, where everything on the entire world map dies, not just around Elfland. Assuming we have a strong enough base spear at least. But I'm not doing encounter manipulation. I'm not using my hard and soft resets to manipulate what we fight. I did promise I wouldn't do that twice. We also could have done the Peninsula of Power, but I think that would have been slower by a long shot. There's no way to full heal at a town right away, so this is just quicker. Like, you can definitely grind in the Peninsula of Power. It's nice early game grind, and I think the Dragoon could do it just fine. There's nothing stopping us from killing Frost Wolves and stuff with a super jump, I don't think. Well, they've got more hit points in this one, in New Game Plus. Wow, okay. While, I mean, that might be a downside for the jump strats. As your level gets a bit higher, enemies are going to start running away while you're flying around. Let's just stock up to max heals. So I think that's probably enough pure potions for what we need to do. What are we looking at? We've got the 4 repels. We'll want a few more save items. And I wanted to have enough money to buy more repels, because we've got to do double dip on the Earth Cave. It's annoying. It's classic. Let's get our level. I think... I really wish I could one-shot these, because there's going to be trolls and their like in Earth Cave. And I'm planning on not repelling the first 2 floors, because they're not super deadly, but we'll have to get past like trolls and bulls and that kind of stuff. So, how much XP do we need? 16 grand. One of those giant peed packs would be just perfect right now. Still not one-shotting, of course, but 1.5 shotting, let's say. Okay, I think we'll be close enough, especially if I can get like a little bit more on the way out here. Alright, we're about halfway to the next level-ish. We'll tent, and then we'll take the slower way back. Come on, first fight stunned. Classic Final Fantasy. We're gonna go to Elfland on the way back. This is the direction I normally don't take. It's a little bit longer. But I need to buy a couple items before we go in and deal with the vampire. Probably the worst town for... One of the worst towns for how far you have to walk. Oh, they don't even sell... I'm an idiot. They don't even sell tents here. It's fine. We've got enough money. I just need something to save with. Cabins will do. And yes, we could have bought cabins in Crescent Lake. I forgot. My brain can't go as fast as my fingers trying to play this game. But yeah, keep track of those ambush rates, man. We just get ambushed so much. And then immediately stunned before we get a turn. The biggest trouble with solo runs, even when you're playing perhaps the most overpowered solo class, you still have the same general problems. Surely the Kaizoku will run by now, right? Thought my level would be too high for them. Usually when you're grinding for like a solo thief run, stuff like Kaizoku run before you're ready to kill Astos. You have to get such a high level. Alright, let's do this. We should be able to get the vampire. At the very least, that part will be easy. And then the Lich run, well, we'll see. We are at 48 minutes. I thought I'd get a little bit further before we finished our first episode, but we'll see how it goes. Got a little bit stumped in Marsh for there. I think that slowed me down a little bit more than I was hoping. And to be fair, running from fights is faster if you can run successfully. But I'm not relying on that. I'm just killing rather than that, which, you know, gotta wait for the animation and stuff. Alright, Earth, take 1. So the Marsh, we tried... How many attempts did Marsh take? Like 5 or 6 before I kind of got lucky enough to dodge the nasty encounters. There's nothing really terrible in the first 2 floors of Earth. Nothing that I think warrants a repel yet. At least not with this character. To be fair, these gargoyles are pretty dangerous for some classes. They hit pretty hard, but if you've got heavy armor, they're not too bad. There's a coral sword up there, doesn't really matter. The bulls, this is why I wanted the stronger jump damage, because they probably wouldn't have been one shot at our current level. So we need to get a level up. There you go. And that should do it, right? Now we're at 96. And from here, excuse me, game. That's rude. And then they poison me, and then the rest run away. That's great. All right, but from here on out, this is where unrunnable wizards, stunning geists and zombies, cockatrices that turn you to stone, all that stuff is on this floor, which means I don't really want to fight them. If you remember from previous runs, there's an arcane spear here, which is a little bit weaker than the platinum spear, but it works against magic beasts. I have not memorized everything that is a magic beast, but I think there's enough magic beasts that we can do, like, I don't know, 50% bonus damage to, that we might as well go with it. Hi there, vampire. Goodbye, vampire. You might be a magic beast. Alright, we just gotta get out of here now. Boy, this sure makes the solo... I mean, to be fair, on New Game Plus, anyone can have repels. So this really would make any solo challenge considerably safer. Although the vampire can still kill a lot of classes. But if you've got like fire 2 or 3, you're gonna kill them anyway. But yeah, the repels kind of make this challenge not really as much of a challenge. But hey, I'm not really complaining, am I? I'm just having a good time. Are you having a good time? So we're gonna want to buy. We're gonna restock our repels before we go for the Lich. So I got to remember, get Rod, buy more repels, and then we'll wrap this one up. Solo challenge. Yeah, I don't think I've ever really cleared potentially all the way through the Lich in an hour. That's absolutely insane for a solo run. And there's definitely ways of doing some time saves. Like, I don't even have a timer on right now. Like, there's definitely ways of optimizing this even better. But yeah, I'm having a good time. Hope you guys are enjoying. Let me know your thoughts. If you watched along, you made it to basically the end of the episode. We only got a little bit left. What do you think is the strongest potential Renaissance solo run? Could be New Game Plus or non-New Game Plus. New Game Plus gives you the repels and early promote, but it does make the enemies a lot stronger. I think for New Game Plus, I'm pretty confident nothing's going to beat the Dragoon. But maybe I'm missing something, you know? Maybe that thief secretly steals the show. Or the bard. Actually, that's one thing I was going to talk about too. There's definitely a couple jobs in Renaissance that I'm not sure can win. Not even necessarily on New Game Plus mode, or like maybe even just normal mode might be hard. And like the bard is one of the ones where I'm like, they're all support. It seems a little bit unlikely that they could solo the game very easily. And the other one I'm not sure about is actually the green mage or green wizard. The reason the white mage can basically survive in the NES FF1 is because of the ruse spell, giving them perfect evasion, which lets them survive a lot of early bosses and fights that otherwise they really have no way of winning, because they have basically 0 damage out. Eventually you can farm with harm 2 on some undead, but that's going to take a little while. The green mage I don't think they get ruse. They definitely don't get harm. I don't think they get any offensive spells at all, really. And I don't think they have a way of, like, they can regenerate and give themselves status protections, but you need a way to not get killed by physical. And I mean, they've got like Stone Skin they can cast, but that runs out, I think. It's not as powerful as like Max Evade. So anyway, I haven't thought about it super intensely yet, but I've been trying to think, like, could you solo this game with any class? It was kind of a surprise to me in NES when I very first, like, I don't know, like 20 years ago when I started doing this. I was I hadn't saved in a bit. I was definitely surprised to learn that any class could actually solo the NES original game, because I was kind of doing it as an experiment, like when I was back in college, and it was like, yeah, I was pretty sure the fighter and black belt and red mage could do it. I wasn't sure black mage could do it, but then they surprised me and did just fine. And then I think I did white mage and learned the roost strats and went, wow, I didn't expect they could solo it. And eventually we got to thief, and it was just barely able to survive a solo run, but technically possible. So I was kind of not expecting that outcome in the original game. So in Renaissance, with new jobs, new balancing, potentially new game plus mode depending on your preference, can all these jobs do it? Maybe. And I mean, in a livable timeline, like, just if you say, like, you can beat Astos at level 50 one time out of 1,000, you know, that's not good enough. you got to be able to beat Astos at a somewhat attainable level, and the Lich, without crazy RNG. Like, it needs to be somewhat reliable. I would say anything less than a 10% win rate is not really going to work on, especially the Lich when it takes so long to get there. And you need to not need a crazy grind. But you don't need to be as fast as the Dragoon. I didn't mean to run. That was a waste. You never run away. Never run. Never show them the back. Okay, we're officially at 56 minutes. I think I might need all 4 repels to go from the 3rd floor to Lich. So we're going to save our repels until we get to the dangerous floor. But yeah, the repels honestly might make solo runs easier on New Game Plus than not, even despite the enemies being stronger. Like I said, the main challenge is unrunnables and enemies that stun lock you. And we can avoid nearly all of them. Like, we'll see if it goes all the way through. I can't remember how many steps repel is exactly. And the 3rd floor is a big floor. Like, there's a lot of walking. And the 4th floor is pretty big, too. Out of the way, bats. You're lucky I don't have a Dark Knight. I'm eating you for dinner. Yeah, you only get through like 2/3 of this floor on 1 repel. I guess the dev was smart not to let us have like 99 repels, because yeah, that'd be maybe too much. There are some random items we could pick up on this floor, in that top right chest, treasure room. There's a couple new items they added in, or at least one. I think that's where the Earth Glove is that would make you give you protection from Earth. I don't think that's gonna matter. I can't really think of any enemies here that are gonna use Earth Elemental on us, even though we are in the Earth Shrine. I'm not gonna bother. I get, so you need 3 repels to almost make it to the Lich. 4 is definitely enough, but I risked an encounter. Alright, let's go. We could get bad luck. The Lich can hit you and stun touch you, but we just hit him for 1,000 damage. So, yeah. I think that, does that prove my point? Solo Dragoon, pretty dang strong. So I think we're going to make this a 2 or 3-parter, depending on how long it takes. I'm going to end this episode here at about an hour. Just under an hour. I actually made it under an hour. Nice. We made it all the way to 46 in-game minutes, too, technically. We made it to 1 orb on our first solo video. We'll see how far we get on our second solo video. So thanks for watching, folks. I hope you've enjoyed, and you're excited to see just how fast, how high this Dragoon can fly. Because it's just going to keep accelerating, I think. And we already are going pretty fast, so let's see what happens next time. See you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.